What's up, party people? It's Keys Dan with RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com, coming to you live and in living color from the Radio What studios. And this is my podcast, What Makes You Famous? It's an extension of the RadioWhat.com internet radio station that I've been running for quite some time. And if you need DJ services, where do I always send you? DJLittleRock.com. One more time, DJLittleRock.com. Check availability and get a free price quote, and maybe you can have me at your next event. You know I like to party with the people. The people need to be entertained. Are you not entertained? Make your next thing a big one. Today on the program, I have Alan Klein, the Jollytologist. You've heard of that. You've heard who that is. What? Oh, you've heard a little bit about him. Well, you get to hear a little bit more in the next few minutes. So stick around. This week's shows, I have my one public show, the Video Dance Party Karaoke Jam. Yes, at the Rab in Conway, Arkansas. Friday nights, 8 p.m. until 12:30 in the AM. They have a full bar, kitchens open, pool tables. They have a pool tournament on Friday nights. So if you want to try your hand at playing pool and possibly make some money while you're at it, why not? Come out to the Rab Friday night, Conway, Arkansas, 8 p.m. until 12:30 in the AM. The Video Dance Party Karaoke Jam. Yes, I said karaoke. You're the stars of the show at the Rab. Friday night, Conway, Arkansas. All right, that's enough intro. I'm so excited. Let's get into it with Alan Klein, the Jollytologist. I got him on Skype. So if you're listening to the audio version, I encourage you to check out the video version. YouTube.com/user/Keys Dan. Skyping Alan Klein, the Jollytologist, now. Nice to see you, man. I have a feeling I'm going to have a good time on this one. I've been looking forward to it for the last few weeks, since we set this thing up, and I'm stoked, man. I've been looking at you, and there's just nothing but happiness. I see smiles. I like to wake up happy. I like to go to bed happy. I like to spend most of the day happy. How do you do it? How do you do it? Because a lot of time, hey, there's things that get you down, get you blue, but how do you keep that cheerful disposition, Alan Klein?
One of my secrets, you want to know my secret, is one of these.
I see. All right. When you look up Jollytologist, which is you're the world's only Jollytologist, invariably you're going to come up with a picture of you in the red nose. For the people that are listening to the audio version, I encourage you to check out the video version so you can see this happiness, red nose. Whenever I'm telling a joke, and particularly a joke that doesn't get laughs, I will say, "Hey, it was a joke." Won't comedian, and you go for that fake red nose, that clown nose. Won't. It's universal. That's what you were. That's what you were trying to convey.
Yeah, you're in traffic jams and it's getting you down. Reach for your red nose. Put it on. You'll be happier. Look in the rearview mirror so you see yourself. Look around. You're probably people looking at you are smiling, laughing. And it's kind of funny because it's this, what do they charge for these? $1?
Yeah.
For these sponge rubber things that can bring you a lifetime of joy.
I think you get them at the drugstore. Now, are you involved with the Red Nose Day? Are you a part of the Red Nose Day?
Dan, this is so amazing. I have been doing therapeutic humor workshops for, 30 years. And everyone in my workshops, we do a whole process with red sponge rubber clown noses. And so when Red Nose started in Britain, when it came here, I kept getting, "Oh, look what you started. Look, did you do this? Oh, look, it's all over the country now." I had nothing to do with it.
Well, I think there's worse things that you could be associated with, Mr. Klein. It's just an amazing. It's nice to give back once you've made a certain amount. If you have the ability, give back, and what a smile to boot. In addition to the charitable. I'm not even sure what the Red Nose people do, and in no way this is sponsored by the Red Nose.
It's for children, feeding children or something like that. But I'll tell you, this is a great icebreaker, and it just cheers people up. I was on a plane or had a flight, and it was over 3 hours late. And so we get on the plane, and the flight attendant's standing there, and all these people are getting on. They're really grouchy, you can tell on their faces. They're upset with the airlines. And I said to her, "Would you like to put one of these on and see what happens?" And she was agreeable. And I stood next to her, and I saw how her clown nose just lightened people up, except for those people, few of them, who would not give up their anger. I'm going to be mad at the airlines, and nothing you can do to make me smile.
Well, in this topsy-turvy, crazy, super speed, gotta have it now kind of world, I mean, there's people that need to get on those flights at a certain time, get off those flights at a certain time, to get to that meeting, to make that date, to make that money, because it's gotta have it right now. The internet is definitely not helping that at all. You gotta have it now. I want to record this podcast, and I want to put it out immediately so people can see it immediately. And that's the way the world has been going, just so much faster, bigger.
So one of my things I teach people is take your time, look around you. There is joy all around, but if you have those blinders on and you're on your phone or your computer all the time, you're not going to see them. You're not going to hear them. You're not going to, look for that. So you're right. We want everything right now.
Yay! I was right about something. No, it's good to take your time. I fully believe that. Whenever I have to go to an event, if it's an hour away, I'll give myself three hours. So maybe I can stop along the way and see some of the sites. Maybe there's a landmark, I'm in central Arkansas now, and going to northwest Arkansas. I'm looking forward to that. I've never been up there, but I know that there's sites along the way. So along the route, I will map out a few of the, maybe the largest ball of string is out there, or a big old deck of cards, or largest frying pan. Who knows what's going on in this weird country of ours, But when you're,
are you in Little Rock?
I'm in Conway, Arkansas, which is about a half hour north of Little Rock. Where do we find you, Alan Klein?
I'm on the West Coast. I'm in San Francisco, originally from New York City, born in Manhattan.
Boz Luhrmann, he gave a speech one time, and they turned it into a song called Everybody's Free. And he had, part of the song was, live in New York, but get out before it makes you hard. Live in California, but get out before it makes you soft. Is there any validity to that?
So do I need to get out of California now?
I don't know. I think
it makes me soft.
I think being soft is pretty good. San Francisco was one of the greatest places that I ever visited when I was a kid. I went there, I think I was 16 or so, on a family trip. I didn't get to Alcatraz, but I did get to the boardwalk, the strip. I could see Alcatraz from where I was. And I remember there was a lot of street performers, and one of the street performers was kind of a statue. And so I was a kid, and I'm wearing a black and red striped shirt. So I stood like a statue with my hand out like this, and a lady put a quarter in my hand. I went, mission accomplished. I win. I get a quarter.
Yeah. Did you go to Haight-Ashbury? You know the famous Haight-Ashbury?
I just don't remember. That trip was such a blur. I remember we went to LA, we went to Universal Studios, and then we drove in a rental car. I'm sure I was asleep half the time getting there. I was probably annoying my parents to no end, as kids do. How did you, all right, you were born in New York. What part of New York? Because New York is a big place. Could it be upstate?
I was born in Manhattan. Right in the middle, right to East 31st, actually West 31st Street. And then we lived in the Bronx. So I grew up in the Bronx, and which is a suburb, if you don't know. And then I moved back to Manhattan when I moved out of my parents' apartment and got married and lived there, and then moved back to the first time actually to the West Coast because my wife was from San Francisco. So we used to visit once or twice a year, and I would just love this city. And I said to my wife, one day I want a Victorian house. And one day we got a Victorian house.
I'm not even sure what a Victorian house is. Now I have to look that up when I get done with this.
It means it was built in late 1800s. And usually has, maybe you don't know, it's called gingerbread. It has a lot of fancy molding on the outside. It has high ceilings, like I have 10 and a half, 11-foot ceilings. It has stained glass windows. I have one, things like that.
I think I'm getting it down in my mind's eye. I figure what a Victorian. Now, this country, it's only a couple hundred to maybe, a couple hundred years old, and we think anything over 100 years, oh my goodness, it's so old. I've never been outside of this country, but I've seen pictures of Europe and places that have been thousands and thousands, have thousands of years of history, and for us here in a brand new country, a Victorian house, what a cool thing to have. Wow, that thing's 100 years old.
That's old for us. But you go to Europe and there's stuff from 1700, 1500, You're like my brother. He won't go out of the country. I'm trying to get him to go somewhere else, but he just won't. I mean, he goes to Las Vegas a lot. He likes to play poker.
Well, I'm terribly, in love with history. I do love learning about history. I was born and raised in Miami, South Florida, the Florida Keys, and there was a time in was it 79 or 80 when Key West decided the mayor of Key West in a drunken stupor decided, hey, I'm going to secede from the Union and apply for foreign aid. So at some point, I was a part of the Conch Republic. And I think that somewhere in my family, probably my grandma still has one of the flags that was made. So maybe I was out of the country unofficially.
Maybe. You were pretty close.
It only lasted a couple of days, I think.
But I love Key West. That's a fabulous place to be born and grow up. Wow.
To be sure. I mean, I'd spent a lot of times at Fantasy Fest and just DJing up and down the Keys at weddings and such. That's where what I've done. But you growing up in New York, Manhattan. I mean, I've never been to New York. I have a cousin named Roxanne that she's like a producer on Broadway. So I get to see pictures of her with the famous and the fabulous from time to time on her Facebook page. I think it's great.
She'll get you tickets to the best shows, Broadway shows. I mean, that's the epitome of theater, Broadway or London. Those are the two places in the world you want to see a show. So hit her up for some shows, tickets.
I've talked to so many people from New York, from in the city, and then people that have moved out of the city, like Brooklyn, and then even further out, like upstate New York. And New York, it just has it all. There's 7 million people living in one place, and I think Crocodile Dundee said it best when he spent that time in New York. He said, 7 million people living in one place. They must be the friendliest people in the whole world. And he was good day and everybody.
Yeah. You go see a Broadway show and you can't walk down the street. There's so many people because the theaters are basically concentrated in like a 5-block area. And so if you think of all these theaters, pre-COVID, of course, maybe now they're getting back, but everyone, if these theaters hold 1,500 people and there's like 20 theaters in one place, and all these people are going to see a show. I mean, there's a certain excitement, but you got to leave pretty early. Otherwise, you're going to miss your show to just walk to the theater.
So little Alan Klein in Manhattan and then later in Brooklyn, are you going to shows? What are you up to as a little baby Alan Klein and then into your formative years?
Yeah, I try to see shows here. In fact, I have one tonight I'm going to see. I don't know much about it, but it's a local theater that does really good productions. Last week, I went to have a fabulous nightclub here. I went to see, they bring in Broadway stars. So I get my little hint of Broadway again by going to this nightclub. Going to the museum tomorrow. I try to make it as much as New York as possible. It doesn't have everything, but San Francisco has a lot of stuff. So it keeps me busy.
All right, well, that's good. Alan Klein on the
Yeah.
tourism board for San Francisco, but I'm going to take you back to when you were a kid. I mean, what are you learning when you're growing up? What are you getting into as a kid, and then when you get in and out of high school, and then maybe into college? What kind of stuff are you into?
Well, at 7 years old, I was taken to see my first Broadway show. I think it's why I love live theater. I mean, I think about movies. Movies can do incredible stuff, right? They can special effects, but live theater, when you see somebody flub their lines, or which I've seen, or the scenery falling down, there's a certain the liveness. There's a certain and by the way, I for 3 years I sold grape juice at My Fair Lady on Broadway to work my way through college, and I would see the show maybe 5 times a week, parts of the show, and every night it was just slightly different. And I thought, that is live theater. You don't know, with some actor, is one dancer, it's a new dancer, and they're like just a second off. I could pick them out. Or Professor Higgins' couch has been recovered. So yesterday it was dark, brown, and today it's all bright again. So live theater, you can see the change every night, and that made it exciting. So I was taken to see my first Broadway show at 7, and I was so excited that something in me said, when I grow up, I want to make those pretty pictures. And I went back to school. I got a shoebox or a cigar box, and I would do little scenes from the book we were reading in school.
Were you doing those scenes for your mom and dad, for your brothers and sisters?
No, I did it for class. In school, you had to write a paper on the book, maybe that you were reading. And I asked the teacher, could I do this scene in this shoebox, this diorama, basically, instead of doing the report? And she said yes. And so that was, at 7, 8 years old, I was a scenic designer, in these little shoeboxes.
Well, that informs what you did later. Yeah, go ahead, continue.
So then when I was in high school, every Saturday I would go downtown, get on the subway, and see a Broadway show, a Broadway matinee.
Wow.
And so I got to see, things on the stage and what they were like and how they did it, and got very excited. And I said, that's what I want to do.
I didn't get all that in South Florida. We did have our share of some theater, the Paladin Theater at South. Was it South Plantation High School? They did put on productions of Bye Bye Birdie and Grease and some of the more popular ones. I think I might have seen Fiddler on the Roof there. That one changed my whole life. I like that one. And I enjoyed the show, the movie as well. And West Side Story, love that movie. I like that some of the theater, if you can't get to the theater, some of the bigger productions do get made into movies. But yes, I mean, what were the ones that really stuck out to you?
Well, you say Fiddler. I took my parents to see it, and that was amazing. I mean, and as a scenic designer, I don't know if you remember this, Dan, but the end of the show, maybe they didn't do it there, but the end of the show, all the people from Anna Tefka have all their stuff on their back, and they're walking around. Well, on Broadway, they had a turntable, and all the scenery goes away, so there's nothing on stage, which showed me the power of how you can create with nothing. And they have all they can carry, that's all they have, leaving their hometown that they've been there for years and just kind of walking around and around on this turntable as the music plays. It was so powerful. That such a simple idea, such a simple set could close the production in such a powerful way.
Yeah, I think some of the productions that I saw, they had some set design, but most of them were very minimal. And so the actor, the audience, the cast, the music is what had to give you the feels. So very minimal. But continue.
So I had a chance to do minimal sets. So I got into college, and during the summer, I would be a designer or apprentice designer in summer stock. And so this was quite amazing when I look back, the energy I had, because for 10 weeks, I was the designer. We did 8 musicals and 2 plays in 10 weeks. And I had to do the sets. You know, musicals have like 8, 10, 12, 15 sets. And I had a limited budget. I think I had $75 a week at that time. You know, I just did it. And it was a great apprentice kind of learning. Well, you know, I mean, I had to get something up there on stage, no matter what it was.
Alan Klein, is it just you? Are you going to the hardware store, to the fabric store, picking up the items?
No, I had help, but I was the designer. So this is the way it looks. Somebody goes and gets the props. There's a head carpenter who is building it. I mostly painted it. I had some apprentices that helped. No, I had help, but I was the designer.
But you're sketching, you know, like a storyboard would be done for a movie or so?
Yeah. And then it all got built. Somebody had to build it and paint it and set it up. But I remember Monday night, I think, was our last show. And the new show opened on Wednesday nights. We'd stay up all night Monday night, taking down the old set, put up the new set. Then they would rehearse on it all day Tuesday. Then I'd make my stay up all night on Tuesday to change things, and then get a little quick nap Wednesday morning, and then start designing the next show. And Thursday, start building it again for 10 weeks.
Well, Alan Klein, I listen to a lot of podcasts. Some of them have current and former members of Saturday Night Live, and it's what you're explaining to me. Doing a weekly show where you have to change the whole set. It's a big endeavor, but was it? I mean, yes, you're right. You had to have a lot of energy. Were you in I guess you were in your teens, your 20s?
Yeah, I know. When I was an apprentice, I was late teens, and then 19, 20, 21, that's when I was the actual designer.
Wow, you were the man.
Can't do that now. I can't stay up 2 nights a week, maybe even one night. I mean, I can't even lose 4 hours of sleep a night. Are you kidding?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's what they say. They'll be off on Sunday, which you are not. You're definitely not off Sunday because you probably have two shows on a Sunday. Maybe off on a Monday, but Tuesday you're back to rehearsing, back to building sets, and you're back at the races again. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's a good way to spend your 20s.
We don't have apprentice systems anymore, but what a great way to learn my craft.
That is exactly something that I've been listening to and I've been talking to my friends about is vocations. People don't want to learn a craft anymore. There's a reason why plumbers can charge so much is because there are no plumbers. You know, if there's only 10 plumbers and 20 people need to hire their service, they're going to start a bidding war, you know?
Right. Yeah, I think we need to have people with training, and no matter what the industry is. Yeah.
I personally like working with my hands. I like building things, you know, going out on a deck, building a shop, you know, working in a wood shop and such, and painting. You know, I painted my decks. You know, the wife and I just painted our decks to make sure that they stayed water sealed. You know, it's nice to work with your hands. Mm-hmm, is that something you still do?
So just to continue, I got into Yale Drama School after college to get a master's degree in theater. And it's a 3-year master's in design, theater design. And I was let go after the first year. They
What
said I
happened?
had no talent.
Well, you showed them, didn't you? What?
I definitely did. I went back to New York. I got in the union, the theater designers union. It's a very stiff test. It's a whole month-long test they give you. And I failed the first time, passed the second time, got a job at CBS television and became a designer for, let's see if you know this show, Captain Kangaroo.
Oh, you mean my whole childhood?
Yeah,
I think it was every
right.
Saturday or Sunday. I was spending time with Bob. I can't remember his real name,
Bob Keeshan.
Bob Keeshan. Yes, I
Yeah.
remember the red suit with the white piping. Just
Yeah,
that's my whole
that
childhood.
was my show
I'm
for
50
10 years.
I'm
10 years
53
I
years
did
old.
that.
You were part of my childhood. This is one
I
of the
know.
reasons I was excited to talk to you. What did you design all the sets there or help?
I designed this whole house, and then I also I designed other props and things. So if you remember, Bunny Rabbit would always love carrots, and he would trick Mr. Green Jeans into giving him carrots. So if he tricked him by doing this machine where he'd trick Mr. Green Jeans to press a button and carrots would fall out, I designed that machine.
I'm gonna start crying. Man. I'm a 10-year-old kid or even earlier.
Yeah.
I was born in '69, so yeah, I spent a lot of time sitting in front of that television watching your work. Watching things that you made. Oh my goodness, and being amazed. And I didn't even know that how many years later I'd be getting to talk to you. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So you spent 10 years doing that.
So that was great fun. And then I also designed shows like you may or may not know, Jackie Gleason Show, the Merle Griffin Show, stuff like that.
Yes.
So,
You were definitely a part of my childhood and my upbringing. I stayed up way too late to watch Jackie Gleason. To the moon, for sure. I know that was the Honeymooners, but he had an actual show. This is the
he had a show.
Yeah.
American Scene was one, and then he had one. Actually, you talk about Florida, the Keys. He came from Miami.
Yes, we have a Jackie Gleason theater that I've seen lots of shows, and I've performed at. I've DJ'd
well, that's the theater I designed at. So we have a commonality here. We've been on the same stage together.
The tears are coming. Oh, you're making me think about all the times that I spent in that theater. Yes, I was on the radio down there, and I announced many shows that were coming to the Jackie Gleason Theater in Miami, Florida. Oh my gosh, yes.
So I was there before it was named Jackie Gleason Theater. You realize, because
that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So tell me,
I didn't know what it was called, but
yeah. Well, okay, Miami Theater. Let's call it that. But okay, so you've been a part of a lot of childhoods, not just mine. I want to own it though, but yes, you've been a part of a lot of people's ideas and thoughts and making people think, and the carrots and the bunny and Mr. Green Jeans. That guy was my hero.
So that's why I'm famous. One reason I'm famous. You asked why I'm famous. Yeah, one reason. But at least I'm famous to you because you remember.
Oh,
you remember Captain Kangaroo.
Well, I think that the name of the podcast, I have a radio station called What. So the what makes you famous. So even if you're not, everybody has a story. And I love your story so far. Alan Klein, after Captain Kangaroo, Jackie Gleason, I guess, did you spend time in Miami? I suppose you did.
I did for a while. And it was glorious. I had, big hotel they put me up on. I don't remember which one. Expense account.
Wow. The life of an entertainer. People ask me, hey, the DJ thing, is it good? Is it fun? Can you make a lot of money? Hey, the money's good, but the work's not steady. You got to keep hustling. So Alan Klein, after one job ends, where do you go?
Well, I was working at CBS at the time, so I had when that was over, they tried to give me soap operas, and I didn't like it, or commercials, so I quit.
What year was this?
Oh God, I knew you'd ask that. I am terrible
Timeline.
in years. I don't even know what year I was born. Are you kidding?
There's times that I forget. I forget how old I am, and I go, minus the one, carry pi, 53.
What
Okay.
year was that? I would think it was the early 70s, I think.
Okay.
Something like that.
I was just
I
a
don't know.
wee young lad, sitting in my my underoos and watching Captain Kangaroo.
Right,
I think
right.
there's the flowers on the wall that don't. Yeah, flowers on the wall mentions Captain Kangaroo, but not in a good light.
Yeah. So I'm back in New York, and as I said, my wife was from San Francisco. We'd visit every year or twice a year with our daughter, and I wanted to get a Victorian house and move to California, move to San Francisco.
Well, how did you meet the wife? Let me back. How did you meet the wife from San Francisco? What was she doing?
That's an interesting story. So I was designing an off-Broadway show, and I was doing the sets. The person doing the costumes was a friend of my wife's. This is in New York City. And my friend said, oh, her friend from California, my future wife, was coming to visit. Would I come to dinner? And because my future wife was a gourmet cook. So I said, yeah, I'd love to come to dinner. So I'm ready to go out of my house to dinner, and I get a call from my future wife saying her friend stopped to have some drinks after work with people at work. I gave her a list of groceries to bring so I can cook. I was going to make beef stroganoff. She was so tipsy, all she brought was sour cream and onions. And she said, I can't make anything with that. Could you stop at the Chinese restaurant and get some takeout? And I said, sure, that's not a problem. And I'm ready to hang up the phone. She said, by the way, we're having 12 people. Can you get dinner for 12?
Well, good thing you just cashed your paycheck.
Right, right.
So New York,
And
you can get some good Chinese. All right, but go ahead.
Yeah, and I did, and I thought anybody with that much nerve, that much moxie, it must be a fun person. And so we hit it off, and she went back to California, and then I visited her there, and then I came back to New York, and we spoke on the phone every single day. And even though the rates were cheaper than they are now, you didn't get a plan where it covered it. You had paid by the minute then. And I realized my phone bill was higher than if I married her, so I asked her to marry me. Although that wasn't true. It was more expensive to get married. But
Alan Klein, you're a very practical man. Just marry the girl. That's
right.
Beautiful. That's a beautiful story. And you followed. Wait, she came to New York first, and then she probably got homesick, and you said, all right, I'll go to San Francisco. I can pretty much do this job anywhere.
Yeah, so we lived in New York for a while, had my daughter then, our daughter, and then moved back. We did move back to San Francisco, and that's when we got the Victorian house. Do you remember what a Victorian house is?
Yeah, it's got like gingerbread. It's got like 10-foot ceilings and little gingerbread stuff all over the place.
You get an A. You get an A.
I pay attention. I stay focused. I'm present. I'm present with you, Mr. Klein. No, fantastic. But was she? What kind of work was she doing in New York, or was she working, or was taking care of you a full-time job?
No, she was taking care of our daughter, but she did have some work. I don't know if you know Radio City Music Hall. They have a show and a movie.
Oh, yeah. Kind of heard of it.
Yeah. So she was sewing costumes for the live show.
Very
So she was in theater too. Yeah.
impressive. And
Yeah.
so that's another thing that you had in common. You couldn't help but to marry this girl. It sounds
Oh
like
yeah.
you
Yeah.
made a good decision. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you got the kid. You got the one kid.
One child,
Yeah.
Sarah.
What'd she
Yeah,
end up doing?
lovely. I love her. Yeah.
What?
Who is seems young to me, but is 53, I think. I can't believe it,
They're
but she is.
always your babies. My mom and my 92-year-old grandma still kicking, and I love it.
Oh,
She's
great.
94. She's 94. Happy birthday, grandma. you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
still hanging around the Florida Keys, and
Do
it's
you,
what's
do you
that?
have children? Do you
I
have
do. I
children?
have two, and I just became a grandpa twice.
Oh, wow. Oh,
Little
congratulations.
girl number one, yeah, she made me a grandpa twice. But yeah,
Yeah.
but you know what is your kid into? What is she? Did
Well,
she
she's an artist.
a chip off the block?
She's happily married, but she doesn't want children. So I have a dog instead of a grandchild. My feeling is I'd love a grandchild, but as long as she's happy, they're happy together. She loves what she does. Her artwork is fabulous, shown all over the world. So, I can't complain.
All right, sounds like a good daddy. All right, I
Yeah.
had a similar situation where I met a girl in the Florida Keys, and she was living down there with her parents, and then her parents said, "Hey, let's go back home to Arkansas." So guess what? I love the girl. I married her down in the Keys. I followed her to Arkansas. So it's what
Uh,
we do for our ladies. But I had to start all over at 40 years old. Start all over. I was dug in. I was, a staple. I was the morning show DJ. I was, DJing on the weekends at weddings and different events and at the Jackie Gleason Theater and amongst other places.
mm,
But
yeah.
you did the same thing. You picked up from New York and you followed your girl to San Francisco. Did you have to
Yeah.
start all over again?
Yeah. So, however, this is the sad part of the story. We were here 3 years, and she got a terminal liver disease, and she passed away at 34.
Sorry to hear that.
So my whole life changed at that point. It was terrible. I had a 10-year-old daughter at the time. It's very difficult. I kept asking, why me? Why is this happening to me? I didn't sign up for this. But, I guess what doesn't kill us makes us stronger. And what I realized is she had a great sense of humor, and that humor helped me get through that loss. And give you one example, she had a copy of Playgirl magazine with the male nude centerfold in the hospital. And she said, Alan, I really like this nude picture this month. Can you put it on the wall by the bed over there? And I said, Ellen, this is a hospital. Little risque for that. And she said, oh, maybe you're right. She said, why don't you get a leaf from the plant over there and cover up that part? And I did that. And things are fine for the first day, fine for the second day, but by the third day, the leaves start shriveling up, and we would start to laugh. And I realized after she was gone how important that laughter was, how it gave us a reprieve, gave us a perspective, even for just a couple of seconds, helped revive us. And so I had a business in San Francisco. I gave it up. I went back to school to learn about death and dying and about humor. And I got a master's degree in human, Human development. And my thesis was the healing power of humor, which turned into my very first book, The Healing Power of Humor.
Fantastic. Through tragedy, through sadness comes creativity. You're helping others with their losses, with their depression. So what the healing power of humor? I mean, I know you have to be familiar with Patch Adams. He had a very similar healing, laughter is the best medicine type thing, which, I was an EMT paramedic for a while. Laughter is sometimes not the best medicine. Medicine is probably good medicine too.
I know Patch, and he's given me several endorsements of my books, and I've met him, and we've, I know him.
Well, you're cut from the same cloth. You're trying to help people, to be happy with themselves. And I saw a little piece of your TED. You have a TEDx talk, and there was a piece of that's on your YouTube page. And I don't usually do a lot of research when I'm talking to people because I want it to be fresh. And I'm very happy that I at least caught that little piece. But I knew that you were going to be a cool person. And I'm sorry that you lost your wife at such an early age. But through that, you're keeping her memory alive.
That's true.
With her,
yeah.
She's inspired you.
Yeah, and the book is now in a 40+ printing in 9th foreign language, so it's all over the world. 9 of those languages, 9 out of 9, I cannot read.
But do you think of all the people that you've touched? I mean, are your Facebook page, your Instagram, your email must be exploding with people
that TEDx talk, I recently looked, it had over 120,000 views.
Fantastic.
Who would have thought at the time when I was grieving the loss of my wife that would be the case? I mean, we just don't know.
That's the catalyst.
Our path is headed.
Yeah, that's the catalyst. That's what inspired you to help others. Because you thought, well, maybe your life was set. You had this nice lady that you followed all the way to San Francisco. Things happen.
Right.
People have loss. I've coped with loss myself, and I'm sure the listeners that are listening now are thinking about people they've lost in their time. And what did those losses inspire you to do? Did it inspire you to be in a depression, in a funk, or did thinking about those people that you've lost inspire you to write a book, to make a speech, to become another person? What was the business that you were into?
Or to help someone else, volunteer for hospice or Red Cross or whatever, just help other people.
What was the business that you were into in San Francisco that you gave up for this?
Yeah, I had a silkscreen company. So we made posters, and we didn't do T-shirts so much, but other kinds of more art kind of designs. And it's still going. My partner is still have it going, but I realized after my wife died, that's not what I'm supposed to do with my life. And so I left the business. I had no idea what I was supposed to do. But I just left until, to see where life would take me. And it took me to this incredible place of being a speaker. And by the way, you're really great at just chatting and speaking. I almost failed speech in college. I got a D in speech. I hated speaking to getting up and speaking.
Yeah, I wasn't very good at public speaking. It was I was the DJ. I played records for people in high school and even in college. I went to college for psychology and communications and radio, and I failed because I kept going to different parties, and my first year was terrible. But eventually I got my life on track. It sounds like you had your life in this track. And then all of a sudden the tracks change. You never know where that
did a turn.
Where that little boy from New York City ends up in San Francisco. And you're making your talks all over the world, or what are you doing?
Well, I had been. I'm kind of particularly with COVID, flying around is not very safe. So I haven't done any. I have done 1 or 2 live talks. Some of them are virtual, but I'm at an age where I'm kind of not advertising myself anymore. I'd rather write. I'm now writing, so many stories from my life, like being in the men's room with Robert Redford.
That's fantastic.
Is one of them. Another story I just wrote last week was about me and Harry Potter.
Are you publishing them in your blog, or are you compiling all these stories for a future book?
I'm not publishing it because I think it might be a book. And so I want them to be fresh for people. I don't know what, I'm just writing them for myself. I'm writing one a week.
Yeah.
And just writing them because I want to tell the story somehow, and who knows what'll happen.
Well, tell me about the healing power of humor. You took how long to write that? When did that start? How?
Oh my God! So it came out in '89.
Okay.
And
when did your wife pass?
It,
by the way,
what?
When did your
me?
wife pass?
What? Pardon me?
When did your wife pass?
Oh, I told you I'm terrible.
That's okay. Just before that, maybe a year before that.
It was several years before, probably 3 years before, and then I hung out for a year and then started to write the book. Yeah. Fantastic. So it's probably 86, something like that.
Okay. All right. Yeah. But you wrote the book?
So the book has an interesting history too, because I don't know if you know about getting a book published, but these days it's easy to self-publish. Back then it wasn't. So getting a publisher is a whole path. I got an agent and we got 12 rejections. 13th bought the book. And the book was originally called Learning to Laugh When You Feel Like Crying. And my editor loved that title. She said, never, ever change that title. That is a New York Times best-selling title. So I wrote for 8 months, and then she left the company. I got a new editor, and he changed the title to The Healing Power of Humor. Which title is better? Which would have sold more copies? I have no idea. But
you will never know. But that's just
one. Never know.
That's just one in a long line of books. You're very prolific. Just anyone perusing your website, AlanKlein.com, and they go to the little book section. I can't even count them. I'm looking at them right now.
Yeah. So, many books came from that. And the reason for that was I had collected so many joyous, uplifting, motivational, inspirational quotations about humor and happiness and joy that I thought that could be another book. So I put it together in a book. The Random House bought that book, published it. It did so well. It was a quotation book that they asked me to write another quotation book, and that did well, and another one. And then I had a 4-book contract to write 4 more uplifting quotation books. And it just kept going.
Well, people are often looking for self-help books, and why not help them out with a nice quote, with a good joke, something to lift their spirits.
Right.
I'm so happy that you're doing that work. You're doing some good work. And
so then the other thing was after my wife died, I looked for books that would help lift me out of my grief. And what I found were these books were really fat books that I had no concentration to read at the time. And they told me how depressed, how upset I might be, how I might lose my appetite, I might lose my sleep. And I start reading those, Dan, and I thought, I don't need to read that. I'm going through it. I know it. So I thought I need to write my book about that, how to be uplifted when you're going through grief. So I wrote Embracing Life After Loss. And it's very simple. It just has a quote. It has a little bit of my writing and easy to read, open anywhere, and get an uplifting moment for that time.
Well, Alan Klein, I'm looking at that one. For the people listening to the audio version, there's a book that he picked up, and it's well tabbed. There's obviously quotes that you go to from time to time to inspire yourself. That's fantastic. I'm thinking about. I just heard recently a podcast on I think it was a lady that wrote the 5 stages of grief, and that now has become very controversial because there's not 5 stages. Everybody's different. Everybody has their own way of grieving.
Right,
You
right.
can't go through those five. I think that was a good jumping off point. But what do
Yeah,
you think?
it's funny. It's funny. You're talking about Elizabeth Kubler-Ross,
That's
by
it.
the way. But I kind of did a little takeoff in her. I thought if she has five stages, I want five stages.
It's a good number.
Except mine all begin with an L. So it's losing, learning, letting go, living, and laughing.
The alliteration is well played. Well played. I like that.
So
Okay, I know that you have a show to go to this evening, and I know I've taken some
I
time, and
do.
I'd love to talk to you some more. And I know that I'm all giddy over here. I'm happy that I knew that this is going to be fun and this is going to be good chit chatting with you. But and to take us out, I mean, you can tell people what you're planning to do in the future. You've already said you're writing books, but where do people find you? And then maybe give some quotes. I usually finish these things off with last words for the people, and that's words to live by. But maybe you have some last words for the people to inspire them. But
Okay.
take us home.
All right. So last word. Oh, find me. Find me on the internet. AlanKlein.com. You have to spell my name right. ALLENKLEIN. AlanKlein.com. TEDx. Put my name in. You will see my TEDx talk, which is about the power of intention. Some words to.
No, wait. Before you do your last words,
Yeah.
the most obvious question was Jollytologist. You're the only one, and I know that I Googled Jollytologist, and yes, you are the only one. I mean, there's a joyologist out there. There's people that practice different things. The T is what throws me off. Jollyologist might have been a simpler version, but Jollytologist, the T.
So you are so right, Dan. I should have done it, but I already did this. I didn't want to change it. It was already registered. I think when I was coming up with Jollytologist, maybe I had just been to my proctologist.
When we get older, we have to see our proctologist.
So somehow, I don't know, I came up with that. And it was too late to go back. So I just keep it jolly. But you're right. I would have preferred actually Jollyologist. But
it's unique. And yes, if you look up Jollytologist, you are going to find the one and only Alan Klein, the man sitting here in front of me, at least virtually. All right.
Right.
Take us home.
So I really am a big fan of affirmations because the words we plant in our head is how we manifest our life. So I would like to share with your audience my top affirmation that has helped me get through so many things and make my life richer. It is, drum roll please, the world treats me as royalty wherever I go. The world treats me as royalty wherever I go. So right now, Dan, I feel like royalty being on your show. It's been so great, so much fun. And thank you so much.
You're the king, Alan Klein. And I'll put this, I'll cut it right there, and I'll probably put this out over the weekend, and I'll tag you in it. Thank you so much.
Great, thank you.
Enjoy your show. Enjoy your time. And I'm a fan. I'll be following you around on social media
Great.
and what have you. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Bye for now. Oh my goodness. There you have it, party people. What a nice guy. What a sweet guy. Oh my goodness. Everybody has a story. Everybody has hardships, ups, downs. He turned that great hardship, that great loss into something good where he can help other people. That's what we need to be doing in this world. Once you get to a certain level, once you get to where you can take care, first take care of yourself, make sure that your mind, your body, everything is in order, and then try taking care of other people as well. If you have the means, if you have the ability, take care of other people. That's what we need to be doing in this world. Take care of each other. And he's doing it through humor, making people laugh, making people think, and getting people out of their funk through affirmations, through jokes. And just the simple red nose. You know, you see somebody that's giving you the gas face in the car next to you. You put the little red nose on. Instant smile. Instant smile. It's not going to work on everybody. But most people going to get a chuckle. Going to get a little giggle. At least show some teeth. A little grin. Thank you so much, Alan Klein, for being on the What Makes You Famous podcast. That was fun. That was a lot of fun for me. I hope you had as much fun as I did. That's it for this edition of What Makes You Famous. Now, if you, my loyal listener, would like to tell your story, I encourage you to give me a call, 501-470-6386, or email keysdan@aol.com. That's it for me. It's keysdan, radiowhat.com, djlittlerock.com. Peace. I'm out of here.